God never wanted you to be religious.
You what?
This is what God has to say about religion. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship is a farce, for they teach man-made ideas as commands from God. First, you have to understand the difference between religion and a relationship and why God stresses a relationship in the Bible. God is a caring and loving God, and he wants you to know and love him the same way that he knows and loves you. That's why he wants a relationship. He's personal. Religion, and especially certain denominations of Christianity, have many man-made ideas and teachings that aren't found in the Bible and aren't truly from God. That is why God says this. God only wants you to follow his word and his teachings. A relationship is I talk to you, you talk to me. I know you, you know me. I love you, you love me. I trust you, you trust me. I'm faithful to you, you're faithful to me. That's what a relationship is, and that's exactly what God wants. He wants you to love him, to know him, to seek him, and to show appreciation at most. Like, he really, out of all things, he really wants you to trust him. The most God wants from you is to trust him and to love the same people that he loves. So love yourself, love everyone, and to love God. He wants you to trust him and know that he only cares about you and he only has good plans for you. So he wants you to trust him and to know that you can trust him. Because he loves you and he knows that he has good things for you. But if you don't believe him, again, like I said, it's a slap in the face. Religion tends to ignore the personal aspect of God. Stressing a relationship with God and viewing him as an actual being helps you to truly feel that personal connection he wants from you. God condemns these people who spread these man-made teachings and ideologies that aren't truly found from the Bible and from his word. And if you don't believe me, then listen to the words of Jesus himself when he was speaking to the Pharisees, the most religious people at that time, to God. The Pharisees were a group of pious, devoutly religious men who were extremely devoted to upholding the Jewish traditions and laws, religious laws. This is what Jesus says. He says, "What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You won't go in yourselves, and you don't let others enter either." So the reason he's saying you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces is because of the things they're teaching. The things these Pharisees were teaching were leading these people farther away from God, therefore shutting the kingdom of heaven from them. And when these supposedly extremely devoted people to God were standing right in front of him, since they didn't have a true relationship with God, they didn't realize that it was God sitting right in front of them, and instead they killed him. This is what Jesus says right after. "What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites, for you cross land and sea to make one convert, and then you turn that person into twice the child of hell you yourselves are." Again, he's condemning them and telling them that they will go to hell for how they act. This whole conversation, Jesus is condemning the Pharisees, and this is what he says shortly after. "What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside but filled on the inside with dead people's bones and all sorts of impurity. Outwardly you look like righteous people, but inwardly your hearts are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness." On the outside they look like beautiful, blameless people, but in their hearts they're hypocrites, and they're just as wicked as the same people they try to condemn. A relationship with God changes you from the inside out, so from your heart outward, instead of trying to change you from the outside in, so changing your appearance and how you're perceived by other people. Personally, myself, just say I'm a follower of Christ in the Bible. If religion was so important, why didn't Jesus ever teach it? That's because religion can never purely sanctify and cleanse you. Only being close with God can truly purify and cleanse you and transform you. Jesus' love transforms you. The same way that you being with your friends every day changes you into a slightly different person, the same way that spending time with God will change and purify and cleanse you in a more righteous person who starts to act more like God and like someone from his kingdom. It's because that's not what saves you, nor is that what Jesus purely cares about. His blood is what saves us. His sacrifice is what saves us. We are saved by his grace through our faith and not by our works, so that no one can boast about it. So not what we do, but that does not mean you can do whatever you want to do. The reason you cannot do whatever you want to do on earth is because you cannot serve two masters. You will be with whoever you choose to follow here on this world, and there is no gray area. If you're gray, you're nay. A lot of people say they don't want to be forced to do anything, So God gives us that same choice. He gives us the choice to choose him, or to choose this world, or to choose Satan, or to choose ourselves. But you cannot choose to follow God and then also follow Satan and continue to do the things your flesh desires to do. You are only fooling yourself, and your religion is worthless. Pure and genuine religion in the sight of God the Father means caring for orphans and widows in their distress and refusing to let the world corrupt you. That's what true religion is. Okay, so again, this is the same conversation. And then Jesus continues to say, "What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore the most important aspects of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. You should tithe, but do not neglect the more important things." So God is telling them their man-made teachings and their ideologies do not save them. Instead, they would have been saved if they actually knew Jesus Christ, who was standing in front of them. He says, "Snakes, sons of vipers, how will you escape the judgment of hell?" So God is telling the most religious people at this time, how will they escape the judgment of hell? There's a problem. God is a very loving and gracious God. Even in this same conversation, while he was condemning the Pharisees in every single word, this whole entire point, up right now, he is now talking to the Pharisees still. And then he's saying, O Jerusalem, O Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones God's messengers." So the same city that kills and murders the same people that God has anointed and appointed and loved and cared for to help spread his message among his people that he also loves and cares for, to help bring them closer to you. He says, "O Jerusalem, the city that murders these people, how often I've wanted to gather your children together as a hen protects her chicks beneath her wings, but you wouldn't let me." So even though they do these things to these people that God has chosen, he still says, "How I want to protect you, but you will not let me." He always shows mercy.